Been thinking a lot this weekend about, I guess I've spent a lot of time in the philosophical, sort of existential realm of this that I'm doing in my life and mostly my health. And it's difficult to sort of try to come face to face with yourself and the things that you're doing and your motivations and all that. And I think one of the main things that I just can't really deny anymore is how much my eating patterns, my behaviors, my eating habits are driven by emotion and what I consider to be a food addiction. You know, I don't know if it's purely a sugar addiction. It certainly feels like that's a big portion of it, but in general, just the food addiction feels like an eating disorder. You know, my emotions dictate so much of my food impulses and behavior around food, and it just feels that it's driven by it comes from such an emotional place, really, and that makes it very difficult, to do just thinking about it in terms of the technical aspects of a diet or weight loss or an exercise program. Exercise per se doesn't seem to be the problem. I seem to be able to stick, or I've been able to stick to the exercise regime that we established for the most part, I think pretty well. Yeah, I still don't really feel like working out. I don't particularly enjoy it too much. Haven't gotten to that point yet, but that part of it isn't as difficult as making the right choices with food. And yeah, it becomes the behavior that I seem to have towards food is very much in line with the behavior of someone who's addicted to a drug. And it makes it very difficult because in that regard, I have to keep eating, I still have to eat something. And sometimes it feels easier not to eat anything because it's either I want the bad stuff or I don't want anything. And so in that way, I don't know, it feels even more difficult than some addictions where, and I don't want to presume that I know anything about being addicted to anything else because I never have, but I don't know, I've smoked in the past, regularly, and that never really presented a problem for me when I decided that I didn't want to do it anymore because I just don't have to do it. But in this case, I still have to eat something. And the moment you have to make that decision is driven by so much emotion. And that makes it very difficult. And that's what makes it feel like an addiction. It makes it feel like an eating disorder where there's no control over this or there's no logic to it. It's just purely emotional. And it's exhausting mentally because you're dealing with it every single meal of every single day. It drives that so much. And so I know that having an external accountability system, I guess, really works for me, as opposed to a more relaxed approach to it. I sort of have to treat it like and that's where we get into a gray area, because I think in terms of like an alcoholic, and all I really know about that is from portrayals in the media and movies and stuff. So do forgive me if I'm getting an aspect of it wrong, but it feels like, I don't know, like if you're an alcoholic and you go to AA or something like that, it's like you see people who are like, been sober for a while saying things like, like you're at a party and someone's like, oh, can I grab you a beer? Oh, no, I'm an alcoholic. A beer is not a problem, right? One beer is not a problem. And I myself don't really have any problems with alcohol, so having a beer wouldn't be a problem. Sure. And I'll have it, and I don't feel like, going on a bender from there. But perhaps someone who's an alcoholic, yes. And so in that way, it feels to me that even some food choices that might not seem that bad, and that people, I guess, in a way suggest like, oh, you shouldn't be so hard on yourself, don't be too restrictive or you'll never be able to, I need to figure out at what point that thing that seems like a benign choice is becoming the equivalent of giving an alcoholic a beer after being sober for whoever knows how long. And that's what makes it really tricky, because again, we're talking about something that you still have to eat every day, and you have to make those choices every single day. And so that is, something that I've been giving a lot of thought and thinking a lot about, because it's almost like opening the door for the monster to take over. And so at some point, even if you're doing really well, it's like it's always lurking in the background, and you give it an opening and give it an inch and it'll take a foot type thing, where I think that I have to be careful, and as difficult as it might be to be more disciplined about, making certain food choices and all that, and tracking things and being more diligent with that aspect of it, I think that it is important for me to do it and to put in the time, because I just don't see another way for me to, at least now, when these emotions are so strong, when I'm having such difficulty with the process, I don't see it. I think that I need to be that strict to send my brain the right message, that there's no room, there's no wiggle room, there's no room to cheat, to do anything else, to have, pizza in moderation, or I don't know, something like that. And so that requires being almost militant about my food choices, and at least right now being really careful to make sure I'm not falling into, or I'm not giving into any kind of impulse. Because at the end of the day, it's sort of an impulse control thing, in a way. And so there are multiple things that I've been thinking about, I guess in existential terms, about this situation. But logistically, I need to get back, and I was also thinking about it in terms of the videos, where I need to get back to using the videos as a way to document my food, and making sure that I am having that external accountability of the food choices, and again, sending my brain the message that we're not going to get to eat something else just because, we're not being watched, I guess. And the idea is not to create like a police state on myself where, oh, I'm being watched, or at least not forever. But maybe right now at the beginning, I do need a little bit of that external accountability. I do need to be controlled a little bit more. Because I tell you that the feeling of not being able to control myself is very strong. And it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of physical, mental, and emotional energy. And so I think that as difficult as it is to, be that strict again with food, maybe I need to get back to that. Get back to a situation that is more manageable in those terms. There isn't as much ambiguity in terms of doing that, because that's making it very difficult, very difficult. So I continue in my reflection. I continue in my introspection, and continue trying to figure out, what the next step is, how we continue to make it so that I can be successful. Really, at the end of the day, is to do it so that eventually we can get to a place where I have regained my health, because that's the thing that really matters here. So we keep at it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for hanging.